to stop abusing your body. On whichever end of the spectrum you are, whether it's starving yourself, skipping breakfast, pushing the first meal of the day to as far as possible as you can, just drinking coffee to fill your stomach, avoiding carbs, avoiding fat, and doing so much cardio, to the other end of the spectrum when you're overeating, binging, drinking maybe, so much sugar, no movement, maybe no sleep. Just stop. It's just self-sabotage, and you will never get your dream body or have a healthy relationship with food, exercise, and your body for that matter if you keep on doing that. I have been on both ends of the spectrum, by the way. This is coming from a very non-judgmental person. I've done both, and I've noticed that when you start taking care of yourself, regardless of whether you lose the weight or not, when you just say, I want to live a healthy lifestyle, and then you follow that, maybe you eat a bit more protein, maybe you try to eat a bit healthier, you move a bit more, the weight literally just melts off. And it becomes so easy once you stop abusing your body. Let's get into it. Also, for those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Flo. I'm a certified personal trainer. My mission on here is basically to help you get your dream body without making your life a nightmare. Let's get into the video. Okay, so the first part is actually recognizing the signs of abuse. Even if you don't want to call them like that, it still pretty much is. So on one end of a spectrum, we have what I would call potentially weight gain, let's call it like that. As I said, you've got overeating, maybe binging till you make yourself sick. The impact of these behaviors will definitely lead to low mood, low energy, not feeling confident, and obviously, as I said, weight gain. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have over restrictive behaviors, potentially to lose weight. So that's being very restrictive with the food in terms of quality, in terms of quantity. For example, cut out an entire food group, then only 3, you can't cut them out, but that's a whole other video. I promise I'm working on it. It's over exercising, maybe to burn food or earn food, having to deserve the food, for example, that you're gonna eat or that you've eaten. And obviously you also have being obsessed with the scales and the numbers, the calories, and so on. So whatever you're doing, I'm sure that to an extent you kind of know what you're not supposed to do, or you kind of know this is not something I should be doing, right? And if you don't know, list all the things you're doing when it comes to exercise, your body, you know, food, and so on. Ask yourself, if my favorite person in the whole world was telling me this is what I'm doing, would I be like, oh yeah, keep on doing it? Or would I just say, okay, stop, this is not good for you, please stop, I love you, don't do that? If whatever behavior you've been showing is not something you would want your favorite person in the world to do, don't do it yourself. Now, if you need it a little bit more convincing, let's talk about why these are very harmful, either end of the spectrum. Obviously, we have the physical harm that would do to yourself, right? Whether it's weight gain or weight loss, metabolic diseases, you know, heart conditions, you've got joint pain, you've got fatigue, you're at risk of injuries, hormonal imbalance, muscle loss. I could keep on going. When I was on because I started on the very restrictive side, when I was on that side, I had no energy. My mom qualified me as a skeleton and didn't like hugging me. She was just like, oh my God, please stop doing that. And I just couldn't see it, right? I lost my periods for a long time. I had no energy. I felt miserable. I was obsessed with food. I was always hungry, always fucking cold, even in the summer. This mental fog, I could not focus. And then on the other end, when I was overeating, I was constantly thinking about food. I was constantly bloated, very much in pain. I was feeling sick, and I could literally throw up because I had eaten so much food. Hated myself. Super low self-confidence, hated going out. This picture was taken when I was in the US. That was my last year of uni. That should have been one of the best years of my life, at least at that point, exploring a completely different culture, and I love what I remember from it. But I also remember that because I was struggling with that, I snapped from this to that in 3 months. Okay, I snapped, and this is what happened. I gained like, I don't know, 20 kgs in 3 months. That's just how crazy that was. I remember going to uni in the morning and all I could think about was food, right? As soon as I was done, I would rush to the store, which was down the street I lived in, buy as much food as I could. But the trick was, it was supposed to be something that by the time I walked back home was going to be done as much as possible, so my roommates and housemates wouldn't really see anything. And then I would just come home and still have food to cook and pretend that, oh yeah, I haven't eaten all day, even though I had had breakfast and lunch and so on. That was like my binges and how I would do it. And the rule, right? And sometimes I would even go further to the furthest shop, so I would have more food to eat because obviously the path, like the road back home, would be longer, so I had more food and I had more time to eat everything, but I would just it would make myself sick. But to get back to that point, it was supposed to be one of my best year, and it wasn't, because I was hiding myself and I hated the way I look and I didn't want to go out. I didn't want people to see me, and I was just obsessed with food because it was the US. I mean, there's just so much food there, right? And so much new food that I wasn't accustomed to, and I wanted to try it all, but in a very unhealthy way. That leads to emotional harm because obviously you've got guilt, obviously you've got shame, whichever side of the spectrum you're on. Anger, resentment, because you're like angry at yourself for doing that, and feeling out of control. You've got this anxiety around food, fear of gaining weight or losing, and just poor self-esteem and hating your body and, you know, pinching your body and just looking at yourself and crying in the when you're trying clothes. Obviously, this also has long-term consequences on your health. As I said, I lost my periods for a while, even after I managed to sort of start healing that. That definitely had very bad consequences on my metabolism. It had a ripple effect on all areas of my life, because obviously you've got relationships. Didn't get into any because on either side of the spectrum I wasn't feeling worthy, I wasn't loving myself enough. Ooh, that's the video I wanted to make. Hold on. Video on self-love coming up. So how to break the cycle? The first thing is obviously being aware, as I said, of where you're at on the spectrum. And I went from this to that, and I decided, okay, hold on, that's basically a pendulum. And I mean, for a while, this is what I did. You know, I would restrict and then binge, restrict, binge. And I decided, what if I just go in the middle and try to just bounce from there, or not at all? And that's when I said, let's just stop trying to change my body for now. I mean, clearly something's not working here. And let's just take care of my body right now and see what happens. So I focused on eating food that I love, but still going out with my friends. It was really difficult. I was forcing myself to go out. I hated my body. And then I started to, instead of doing the crazy HIIT workouts and 30K steps that I was used to doing, I decided, let's do something that I love. I discovered weightlifting, loved it. I discovered running, you know, sprints, because long runs are kind of not really my thing. Loved it. So that's the first step. I decided to go to the middle of the spectrum and just focus on what happens if, even if I loathe my body right now, what if I just take care of it like it was someone else, like it was my younger self, which I could not have anything else but compassion, empathy, and love for my younger self. Okay, let's just treat myself like I'm a kid and just take care of myself that way. Of course you want to go spend some time outside. Of course you want to have a healthy breakfast. Of course you want snack if you're hungry. Of course you want like to have enough food, have enough sleep and all that. So I did that, and weight sort of started coming off on its own. Second thing you have to do is find your why, as in, why did you want to lose weight in the first place, but most importantly, why do you want to heal your relationship with food, exercise, in your body? And one of the biggest thing that you may realize is to set a good example for the people around you. Because sometimes you're a people pleaser. Sometimes you want to do things because of the ripple effect you will have on other people. A lot of my clients actually have noticed is like, oh, now that I'm treating myself better and I'm still losing weight, I'm showing that I can eat a lot of food and still lose weight, or I can do exercise that I don't loathe and still transform my body, or I can still go out and people are seeing that and they're asking me how I do it, and then they're starting to do the same. You don't realize how much of an impact taking care of you has on other people until you actually do it and you see it happen. Obviously, finding your why could also lead to thinking about the long-term benefit of just taking care of your body, regardless of what you weigh. Better health, self-esteem. I promise you that the moment you start taking care of yourself, regardless of the weight, self-esteem, it will just improve your life in so many other areas, and especially it starts with your health, it starts with yourself, but it will have a ripple effect, I promise. You just have to ask yourself, why would I want to do that? And you'll find reasons. You'll find reasons that will bypass the I need to lose weight. Of course, it can still happen as a byproduct. Of course, you can still want it, but you'll have to have other reasons as well. And you have setting boundaries with the extremes. So ask yourself, what extreme behaviors have I showcased, and how can I just say no to that? How can I avoid that? How can I heal myself and prevent myself from going back to the extreme? We'll start with awareness, and then you want to set first the boundaries around that. For example, for me, it was like, I'm allowing myself all the fucking food I want, as long as it's not a binge, as long as I'm sitting down enjoying the food. No more eating as much as I can on the way from the shop to the home. No more of that. And that was like one of the biggest rules I had for myself, was like, you can eat whatever you want as long as you're sitting down, present, enjoying the food. That gave me back the control that I felt was lost when I was like just stuffing my face. And the last part is starting to rediscover your body and rediscover fitness, and sort of how can you stop abusing your body is often how can you, if you don't want to say love, like your body a little bit more. You want to take practical steps, right, to completely end either end of the spectrum. It definitely includes making sure your body has enough food, making sure your body has enough calories, making sure your body has enough nutrients, trying to make small changes. If you're completely relying on processed food, seeing what you can do to improve it a little bit, and just instead of going from 0 to 100 extreme, right? It really starts with being aware of what you're doing and how you can improve that, and what you would want the person you love the most in the world to not do and to do instead, or to replace, and all of that. Learning to love your body can be a bit difficult, especially at first. It doesn't happen, you know, overnight. I can't remember which book it was from. Definitely read a book about writing down all the things that your body does now that you really appreciate it does, from walking, hugging, cooking, you know, whatever you're doing with your body, you know, being pregnant, everything that you've done or that you can do now. Write that down and be grateful that you can do that, that your body can do that, and that will already be a huge step in the direction of starting to like your body. It's never too late, and starting to treat it better will take very conscious steps. And going back and forth and relapse, I think you should watch the video on change actually for that. But it can happen. It's not a lost cause. It's not too late. You're not too old. You're not too whatever, or not enough whatever. It's not about that. It's about learning to treat your body with respect, and that is the most important goal that you should have. Remember that your body and you deserve kindness and care, and definitely no abuse towards it. It's not about punishing yourself. A big step would be for you to forgive yourself for treating your body that way, for gaining weight, for losing weight, whatever it may be. It's gonna start from that, from not allowing the guilt, the shame. You know, you did what you could with the tools that you had at the time. Now you have new tools, now you have a new awareness. Hopefully from this video, I'm deeply convinced that hearing that can completely change someone's life. That's why I'm getting myself out there. And if it's just one person, my job is done. I've seen on Reddit someone talking about how they were having a hard time forgiving themselves. She said, I'm trying to take control of my life, but I feel an immense amount of guilt and shame for letting my life rot away these last few years. Probably lost friendships, romantic interests, opportunities as a result of my physical appearance. The what ifs of my life haunt me to this day, and this makes it hard to go forward. How do I not let the guilt weigh me down and make this part of my journey miserable? So that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? Forgiving yourself everything that you've missed and saying, okay, can't change the past, but today is a new day and I can completely reinvent myself and not do whatever I used to do that make me angry now. And the future is yet to be written. I can change, I can decide what I hated that I've done back then. Sure, I've got regret, but it's fine, everyone does. And I can make sure that I don't get more regret in the future and say no and stuff like that and lose opportunities and just get myself out there. Again, it's not gonna happen 0 to 100, but taking the steps and asking yourself, maybe what have you missed and what can you do to get more out there now. I love doing videos with no script. It's always fun. I never know where I'm going. It's like that Michael Scott. I start a sentence and I never know fully when it's gonna finish and where it's gonna go. Yeah, same. When I start a video, I never know what's gonna happen. But yeah, that was pretty much it for today. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments. And if you're someone who wants to actively transform their body, you know, lose the weight, whether you're skinny fat or have more weight to lose, without starving yourself, without spending hours doing cardio every single day, without saying goodbye to your favorite food and every social event ever, and of course without getting the weight back, highly suggest you apply for one-on-one coaching down below by booking a free call with me. It's completely free just to see if and how I can support you, and if I can, I will 100% welcome you into my program. Again, I've done it myself, my clients are now doing it, so why not you? Thank you so much for watching. No idea what it's going to look like because I kind of just talked. Hopefully I'll find some chapters in there. But yeah, you know, if you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Woo!